L take, bro. L take.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
ain't mad at that. But you had a
Yeah.
specific topic you wanted to hit on, and I'm
Yeah.
curious what this means. The topic was too long to fit all them words on the screen.
Absolutely.
Got to keep it
Yeah.
nice and short so that way
Of
when you see it,
course.
you know what's on the thing. But you wanted to speak about black affluent intentionality and capitalism. So I
Absolutely.
will, as we get ready to round out the show, open the
Yeah.
stage to you to speak about it, and then we can discuss what you're talking about because I don't even know what you're talking about.
Exactly. When I speak about black affluent intentionality in capitalism, what I'm saying is all of those black people who got bread. You feel me? And why you need to be intentional in capitalism, why you need to be intentional about where you're spending your money, where you're putting your resources, what are you building? And we got to stop this. We got to stop with the lack of committing to something better. You know what I mean? When you think about rich people, when you think about rich black people, you know what I mean? How are they making sure that they can create more black affluent families and households and people? And so I just think that there has to be some type of intentionality there. How are you in your, if you have a business in your contracting, you know what I mean? How are in your job creation? How are you making sure that you're being intentional so that the wealth building can occur? There is no wealth building if there is no job creation. Then what are we doing? There's a statistic, a SBA statistic. According to the SBA, I believe the stat is 96% of black founded companies in America have one or less employees. And so what that says to me is we don't got a problem starting. We got a problem building and continuing and being intentional about that growth and being intentional about where we place investment and time and energy and making sure that, okay, if there's a Dion with $1 million, how can I create two more families with 500,000 and another one with 250,000 and another one with 100,000 and another one with 50,000, another one's with seed money at 25 and some more, like really like being intentional. So that's what this was about. It's really about making sure that when it comes to well-off people, well-off black people, we're being intentional in this environment with our money and our capital and our influence.
Oh, I really like that statement. I really like the story. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's funny. I think about it all the time. Like, if I wasn't an entrepreneur, I would probably be happy because I've spent so much. I've spent hundreds of thousands of my dollars and sweat equity time into building businesses over the last 8 years. Ones that fail, ones that send me into debt, ones that I haven't had enough help on, or ones where you get people that say they want to work and then they never want to work. Like, the one thing I give you credit for, and the reason why you and we so cool, and why I believe we relate to each other, is because you and I have a similar work ethic. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. Yep.
And even to the point where, even when it comes to being demanding, like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm usually the hardest worker in the room. So it's hard for me. I mean, it's not hard for me. I want to take that back. I want to switch the way to where I said that. I'm usually the hardest worker in the room. So it's always interesting when I see someone that will try to match my energy and my stamina, and then they were like, all right, you need to work harder, or no, let's work as hard as you possibly want to work because I'm ready to work. And that's the one
Right.
thing that I will say, with you, but definitely I can agree that, being a black entrepreneur is terrible. You don't get any help. You really don't get any help. You don't. I mean, like, you. And I'm wrong. I've actually. It's ironic. Like, my friends are always like, "Yo, you always get people interested in giving you money to build businesses." I'm like, "Yeah, because I have good ideas, but it's like, not every idea and everything that I create is gonna work."
Yeah.
But I've created enough things that have worked, and I've managed enough people that have become stars to where I know that it's just a matter of me continuing to manifest things that I want to do. And a lot of people are like very scared to try and do different things, especially as like black businessmen, because like I said, it's really tough. Like even in LA, I think the statistic is that like more than 90% of the average people that live in LA have less than $500 in their bank account and less than $100 in their savings. So like we are really fucked up out here just in general, and this is one of the most affluent states in the world and one of the most rent expensive places in the world. So even if you think about that, like if rent out here, minimum is $200 to $2,500 in most places, like you still got to be making some solid money to be able to live out here. But it's a fine line between you having, like disposable income to the point where like, that's why I never get mad at black people when people are like, oh, he like to drink or he like to hang out, he like to party. I'm like, yeah, but do he work? Because if he works and he works hard enough, you could say like, oh, save all your $400 so that way you can eventually buy this $1 million house you want. It's like, yeah, but now that means I ain't got no quality of life and all I do is work. And that's and it's unfortunate, but that's really what a lot of our community is kind of left to choose between. So there is really no room for you to be an entrepreneur. But like there have been many of nights where I've not eaten because I've had to pay for bills for some of my businesses. And it just boils down to that's just the reality of it. And I have a ton of friends that have money that will invest in stuff of that's black and not black. But the ones, the black ones will, definitely do right by me. And the white ones, they'll help me connect some dots, but yeah, they usually never cutting the check, if that makes sense. And like a lot of people, and I love black business, and the reason why I keep starting businesses is because my media business has been successful. Like we've generated a lot of income back when we was, back like 5 years ago, and it's still going. It's still getting 250,000 views a month. Why would we stop? And it's been black owned from day one. Black owned. We've put on dozens of pieces of talent. So it's like, all right, cool. If we can make that crack, even though it might not be in its heyday, to me, media is like cyclical. So if we just stick around long enough, like I tweeted yesterday,
we're gonna hit that pocket.
The only ones that I know that's still been around longer than me and Pavi doing Hoops and Brews is the Joe Budden podcast and the homie Scott and his brother Joe Lewis with their 79th and Hallis, because I think they started 79th and Hallis like 8 months to a year before we started ours. But that was back when they was doing podcasts only before they was doing video. But they literally were the genesis of Hoops and Brews because they didn't like Pavi's hot takes. So Pavi came to me like, yo, let's start a podcast. And then I was like, well, if we're going to start a podcast, we got to look at it as a business because we could be a black ESPN. He laughed at me. And I was like, one day we can go to Netflix and get 200 million. Didn't happen. But just the thought of like, we could be a black ESPN and try to go get 200 million. I was like, that's worth the try and all the hard work. And even though we fell short of that 200 million, we've created a lasting impression across the internet. We're respected as reporters. And like the sacrifice as a black business owner to me has been worth it. And the toughest moment in my life as an adult in terms of business was when I had to lay off my team of 17 writers when we had this big contract that it didn't get renewed. Because even though they were making small amounts of money here and there, they relied on that money. And I made sure that when they did the work, they got paid for it. Sometimes even early, because I was appreciative of them doing good work. And I feel like that, it's hard for us to really kind of come by collectively. So I really appreciate that speech because as someone who's on the opposite end of like, of like the failing portion, or not even failing, just learning lessons, trying to keep it going. Cause like, my businesses are still going. To me, they might be in their down periods or trending upwards or whatever, but like they're still moving. And to me, as long as there's forward momentum, we're still moving, even though, I mentioned this to you in a text message when I sent you the views, and you was like, "Is this good?" And I was like, "You see that hockey stick? The hockey stick, when you're a creator, is a thing that you aim for, because that means that your content is going viral and it's catching on, and the algorithm is going to take it and serve it to more people because they think people want to watch it. So if they want to watch your content, they're going to serve it to more people so they can serve you an ad. So if you get that hockey stick, it's cool, but a lot of people get that hockey stick and then they do this." And it just drops completely off. And then once it drops off, they just stop. And then it's dead. For us, when our hockey stick was at 150 million views, then it dropped down to 80, 70, 89, 10. Now we at 250,000. We still going. So one day when that next deal comes up, as a black entrepreneur, I can still say I own my company. We've had multiple people try to buy it from us, buy our channel, But we kept it because we were like, we rather keep it and keep losing the money as we continue to invest to keep it going than to sell it and for it to not be ours anymore after we spent so many hours building it. You know what I mean? So that was actually like that was a great point, and I didn't even know what you was gonna talk about before that.
Absolutely, absolutely, definitely, man. For real. Shout out to you, man, for keeping that thing going. That's not easy, bro. For real.
It's
So
tough. It's tough.
salute to the longevity, man, because that matters. Every year don't got to be a great year, but every year's been y'all year. You feel me? So salute to that.
I don't know about y'all here, but we keep trying. Like
Yeah,
I literally, if you black and you want to try something, all I keep saying is try. Like that's the one thing that
absolutely.
everybody can forever say about me is like, yo, TP might not have been great at whatever he tried, but he did try to do that. Like he didn't leave no stone unturned. He tried everything, and what he was good at, he attached himself to, and what he wasn't good at, he found other people that were good at that thing and tried to help, bring them along the way. Like I've always been that type of person, and you that type of person, and that's why I believe God has favored you so much because of the fact that like not only have you done, not only have you done the right thing by your country, but you're doing the right thing by your community, but also you're doing the right thing by your fellow man, and that don't mean black, white, whatever. That means the people around you that need opportunities, that do good work and do good things, that need to be elevated. You elevate those people, and that's what allows you to be successful, because a lot of people ego get into it and they're in competition with people that they doing business with. I'm never in competition with nobody I'm doing business with. I want you to beat me at every single phase, because then that means I got somebody working just as hard as me, and that's why I fuck with you.